Welcome to Moments with Marianne. I'm so excited we're spending this time here today. We've got quite a show lined up. Our first guest is very dynamic. Her name is Veronica Drake, and she's here today to talk to us about 3 keys to unlocking your divine purpose. So, welcome to the show, Veronica.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
What a joy it is to have you here. You know, and it's funny how I end up connecting with people, but you kept popping up over social media, so I was like, we've got to connect.
I am all over social media.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. So I wanted to talk with you about the 3 keys of unlocking your divine purpose. So for someone that's kind of new to who you are, why don't you talk to us a little bit before that about, the work that you do and how long you've been doing that work?
Sure. My story started in 1962, but I won't take y'all back that far. I'll take you back to 1996, which was a very dark, heavy period in my life. I decided I didn't want to live any longer and was about to take my life and literally had a divine intervention. I now know, as I've known for a very long time, that it was the angels, the angelic realm that stepped in and obviously did their job. I'm still here, and my message has been one of hope, inspiration, and healing, and that's where the journey started. So I took the message, I heard the message, I took the message, and I ran with the message, and as a result, I'm just connecting and meeting the most amazing women.
So you're like the spirit's poster child right now for walking through those kind of situations, because I think a lot of people, if I remember correctly, I don't remember the stats, but I remember having a conversation with someone recently where they talked about the levels of depression and anxiety and different things like that going on in the U.S. at this time, and the rates were extremely high. So it's kind of nice to see that, having gone through something as intense as that, and then coming out the other side, it really gives a lot of hope for people.
Oh, absolutely. And, we're all here for a divine purpose. Selfishly, we think it's about us, and ultimately we have that epiphany or that awakening that says, hey, maybe it's bigger than I am. And so that's kind of what happened to me. And most recently, I've been able to channel, which I've been a channeler for a while, but the energy, the entity of Jesus has come in, and it's all about love and healing. So this has been quite the journey for me. And I'm a very normal, down-to-earth person who, just kind of goes with the flow. And so I know I'm the conduit.
Yeah. Well, and it's easy to see. I can tell by your energy and your message that you have. And so talk about your messaging. So 3 keys to unlocking your divine purpose. What is that all about?
For a lot of years after that incident, I struggled to figure out why was I here. I knew there was a bigger reason, but I had a really great paying job, which is what we're all trained, the American dream, get the job, make the money, had the house, had the picket fence, had 2 great kids, very involved. But I would come home from work and I would go in my Zen chair, I would call it, and I would think, what is going on? Something's missing. Yeah. And it came to me that I had to find my purpose. It's almost like the game of Clue. There were pieces of it all around. And when in hindsight, obviously everything's 20/20, but I could see pieces of it. And I had to get down and dirty with who I was naturally. And then it began to reveal itself, unravel itself to me.
Well, and so when the first part started to unravel, what did that look like?
It was me facing me. So we walk through this world a lot of times on autopilot. We operate on conditioned beliefs, and we're programmed to live life a certain way. And so as a result, I was living everyone's definition of who I should be. And so for me, I stopped and I went, wait a minute, literally, wait a minute, what are you doing? What are you naturally good at? What have you been gifted with that you're naturally good at? And in a moment, literally in a moment, in a flash, I heard, and my family laughs at this, talking.
I think most people would be like, okay, hearing that, they'd be like, well, okay, yeah, I have the gift of gab. So,
well, it's funny because I've been talking since I was 9 months old. I would sit in the coat room in detention. I was always in trouble for talking. I just couldn't seem to stop talking. And it's ironic that I make money to talk. So,
well, you found your calling.
Totally. And so what I want people to know is that your purpose is wrapped in your naturalness. And that's one of the keys. It's like we look around outside of us for, wow, what should I be? Who am I? How do I do this? And wow, boom. Who are we? It's right in us. It's so clear. So that was the first.
I think a lot of times people have a hard time seeing what their giftedness is. So being able to have that realization and then have it be like almost like, well, of course, I'm good at what I do. Because I also know that, you coach, you are an angel communicator, intuitive, and you also have a podcast that you do as well. So obviously, your gift of gab is something that you've had for some time.
And I'm just lucky that people listen. Yes. And, for me, it was so freeing because I'd always known this about myself. And then when I could go, wow, this is really true. This can be it. So I want people to understand, too, one of the tools that they can use to find this, because you're right, they don't always recognize it. I like to take people back on a journey and make them realize what games they played in their childhood. For me, and I'll just give my example, I love to get my nails done. I love my hair done, and I'm very girly, but growing up, I was a bit of a tomboy. I played war. I built forts. And when I look at that, it was all about curiosity, strategy, planning, mission building. And so when you look at the childhood games that you played, I played dolls, I played house. I was the consummate teacher. I didn't care if I was teaching to nobody. Usually I kidnapped my little brother and made him sit and listen to the lessons, but...
Does he remember them to this day?
Oh, yes, he does. But I was the teacher. So, the teacher tells me more about me. So go revisit those childhood games. Therein lies your naturalness.
So that's really a real big message that they gave you,
Huge. The other piece of this is, who do you gravitate towards naturally? I love to pose this question to my social media audience. If you were having a dinner party, what 5 people would you want at your table? And then I say, why? Why do you want them? Because the intimacy of a dinner party and at your table, that's pretty huge. So, why do you want these people? So notice who you would have at your dinner party. And then notice why. What contributions do they bring to the dinner party, to your life? Because here's the thing. If you can see it in someone else, it's in you. There's a saying that says, if you seize it, you bees it. So.
I've heard that before. So
it's true. It's very true.
Mm-hmm. Well, and so we've got a couple of lessons here. And when when Spirit was talking with you during this dramatic time, what was like the overall picture that you took away from that experience?
Oh, gosh, you're not alone. You're not alone. And all my life, I felt abandoned, I felt, we all have a backstory, and I won't go into the tragedy of that, but I got You're Never Alone. And my whole life up until that point, and I think I was 33-ish in 1996. I can't do the math, but up until that point, I felt lonely. I got married very young because that's what you're supposed to do. I'm using air quotes. Had my children because women stayed home. They bore children. Obviously my father was Fred Flintstone. And so I did what I was supposed to do, and I still felt lonely. I still felt sad. I wasn't raised with religion. I still don't necessarily do religion. I do love. And that was what I felt that day in my car. And I still get very choked up and very emotional about it because I've never felt alone since. I've never felt the need to fill a void. And a lot of people walk around trying to fill the void, the emptiness, the loneliness. And surfacely, they can have everything or appear to have everything. And yet, there's an overindulgence in drugs, alcohol, shopping, promiscuity. We're all here for the same reason, and that's to feel love and to be loved. And yet when we can't connect, we look for things to make us feel that feeling. So I avoided that.
And then it leads to places where we get into despair because we don't have that connectiveness that's letting us know that we are connected to the universe, Father, Source, whatever, God, whatever we want to call it. But right. That part makes a huge difference.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It was the difference for me. And again, I don't necessarily do religion. I've practiced all religions, and I say practiced because, there's parts of all religion that bring something to the world. Yeah. And the common denominator in all religion is love. I look at, in my 3 keys to unlocking your divine purpose, I quote scripture in there. And to me, scripture is just beautiful pieces of words put together to inspire us. Just like the Quran might have those, or, the Buddha could share those with us. It's really about inclusiveness and oneness.
Yeah, and it's a ever unfolding journey is what I like about it. When you reach a plateau in spirituality and a level of connectedness, there's always a new plateau that's available to open up. And it gives you, at least for me, it's always given me a sense of peace and hope, because I wasn't always connected either. And when I had my reawakening, then it was kind of like all at once.
Right. Absolutely. So have you had a similar experience? I mean, have you walked that path?
In not quite the way that you have. I grew up Catholic, and so we were not allowed to see angels or energy or anything like that. That was like a big no-no. And so that, when I was at a young age, I turned all that off. And then I had a friend pray over me many years ago. I was in my early 30s, and it immediately was a reawakening, and the energy I felt was the most intense ever. But within that moment, I knew that everything was connected. I knew I was connected.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And it wasn't just like it happened just then and it was done. It lasted for 2 days. So, about 2 to 3 days, and it was pretty intense. So, but at the same time, it was really fulfilling,
Well, anybody that's been following me for any length of time knows that I delved into Catholicism very deeply for the last 3 years. I am not Catholic, and I am 54 years old, and I chose for the last 3 years to immerse myself in Catholicism. Now, I'm going to say something here that perhaps will not be very mainstream. I a la carte.
There you go.
I cannot be, and I'm using air quotes again, Catholic, because I'm married for the second time. My husband is also married for the second time, blah, 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 tradition, history. And I'm not mocking anybody's belief about Catholicism, because I find solace in the pieces that I find solace in. I can't take communion, but God and I have an understanding. We know why I'm there. And so I will tell you, there's a lot of positive feelings for me that come out of Catholicism. And that's contrary to what a lot of people will share.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's really interesting. I've just really chosen to live more of a life that's not attached to any dogma. Mm-hmm. Because it allows me greater freedom in my spirituality. I'm a very spiritual person. I just don't do dogma.
Right. Exactly. And so I take what I need from Buddhism, and I take what I need from, Hinduism, and it just makes for a really happy life.
Well, and I've had somebody tell me a long time ago, and it's always stuck with me and made perfect sense. If the ocean is salvation, there are many rivers that lead to it. So I really feel that there.
Love that.
I know, that's why it stuck with me too. But I really love the fact that we can look at some of these different religions that and find maybe a thread of truth or something that resonates with us and take it with us, and have that along our journey with us. I mean, the Buddhists, they've got meditation down like nobody's business, So.
Totally. I aspire.
And there are other religions that have other great things about them as well. So, it allows you to take those pieces and kind of weave your own tapestry going forward,
You know what? I'll tell you quickly. One thing about Catholicism, I love the saints and the apparitions that people see. The saints come to me. Now, I know that might be blasphemous to some, but the saints talk to me. I channel the saints. So I'm really drawn to that.
Well, and let's talk about that a little bit. So you say that you have done channeling with Jesus. How did that start?
It's funny because, I wish I had some big epiphany story where, I come from a long line. I'm just like little old me sitting here in Pennsylvania, having my coffee in the morning on the couch going, okay, what are we going to think about, focus on today? And all of a sudden, it was like these words were flowing out of my hand onto the paper because I like to take notes. I'm a note taker. And I'm drinking my coffee with one hand, and the words are coming out on the paper, and I'm like, what? And so I just let it happen.
You're like, that's just having a life of its own.
Totally. And I read the words and I went, oh my God, they make sense. And so I heard this is Jesus talking. This morning, Joan of Arc spoke to me. I couldn't tell you a story about Joan of Arc if I had to. I know the basics, but she had a message for me. And it was like, whoa, so that it just happens for me. The words come out on the paper, and I have like 22,000 or 25,000 followers on my Facebook page. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to take it to my peeps. I'm going to see what they think. And wow.
You're like, this is what my peeps think, all right.
They're loving some Jesus. It's like, wow, it's amazing and we all have the ability. That's what I want everyone to know. We all have the ability. I'm not special. I'm the conduit. That's why God created us, to be a voice, a mouthpiece for him. Mm-hmm. So own it. That's what I say.
What a gift that is. And it's interesting, especially it allows you, I think, to be more of a unbiased channel, because for people who are really into the saints or into that portion may have some things that they would kind of, their belief systems would push up against,
Exactly. And this really isn't, it's not me saying, hey, you need to eat this, drink the Kool-Aid. I'm totally,
oh, yeah.
You want to sip, take a sip. You want to leave. I'm not dependent on anything because Jesus and I are one-on-one.
Well, and it resonates with some people and doesn't with others. And that's actually always really good advice is, take what resonates with you and leave the rest behind. Because,
absolutely.
Yeah, your soul knows what's true.
And it's funny because, again, going back to my social media peeps, like literally we dialogue. I mean, I'm on the page, we're talking. I have a question. Like if I'm concerned about something, I'll just say to them, why are you here? Why did you even come on my page? What do you follow me? And boom, I've got thousands of people telling me what they get from me. And, as a marketer, that's a dream.
Well, it's obviously that message is resonating with some people,
Yes.
so that's really important,
Yes. So, but the reality is it's a community. I have a community. So it all works.
Well, and so that kind of leads me to my next question I have for you. I know you do soul to soul coaching. So what is that?
That is literally me connecting my soul with your soul, channeling in the entities that need to come in. And it's not as woo-woo or as mystic as it sounds, because instantly when I meet someone, I know right away what's happening in their soul. Now, a soul comes in for a purpose. It comes in to learn things. It comes in, and it is our greatest teacher. A lot of people can't tap into their own souls because they're too close to it. So when I coach, and I go in and I say, okay, we do a preliminary. I do an angel assessment. I call the angels in. They show me exactly where this person is stuck. I see if it's in alignment with where they think they're stuck, and mostly it's not. So when I go in and I connect and I can talk to your soul, and I do it in a very simple way, people tell me they find courage. They conjure up things that they never thought could be possible for them because their soul is opening up and is talking to them. The soul is energy, and you can't kill energy. Energy just goes and goes and goes and goes. You can suppress it. Mm-hmm. You can deny it, but you can't kill it. And that's the unsettledness that people feel.
So with the connections that you're having with Jesus right now, what are some of the main, I know you said he's talking about love, what are some of the other main messages that you are receiving?
Sure. He's talked about love and healing. He's talked about religion. That was a really eye-opening thing for me. Talked about the Bible, and the pieces of what the Bible is and what it means and how it should be taken and what humanity should do with the Bible currently and how it can be helpful. Again, none of this is in the context of religion. And all of these are on my Facebook page or my YouTube page. I'm putting the videos out there as they're unfolding for me, helping me to understand about myself so that I can be vulnerable and transparent to the world. Because here's the thing, this is key. We are all one. Mm-hmm. What you see in me, what you feel about me, is also true for you. So I'm just stepping up. I'm being pushed out there. Let's put it that way.
It's happening, and you're just kind of along for the ride.
Totally. That's how I feel. Great analogy. Yes, great. That's how I feel. Like, woohoo, get your hat. We're going.
Oh my gosh. That's so cool. Well, and so where are you going from here? I know you have an ebook available that is titled 3 Keys to Unlocking Your Divine Purpose that people can get on your website. What else do you have in store?
Sure. I do angel readings. I do soul to soul coaching, and coming in the fall, September-ish, I say, because it could be late August, I have the Angel Academy coming out where I'm teaching all things angelic, but all things healing, all things love. And it's going to be a very, it's going to be a community filled with dynamic, creative individuals who are looking to learn how to harness the energy and power of intuition and spirit and use it to heal their lives and to ultimately heal the world. So it's called the Angel Academy, and that'll be out, I guess, probably early September, I would say. Watch my website for that.
Oh, cool. Well, that's fabulous. And before we go, we've got a few minutes here, and so I wanted to see if you had any and I don't want to put you on the spot here, but if you have any, but I'm going to, kind of, but not really.
I love it. I love it.
Any messages that you want to give our listeners? Any insights? Whichever way you want to go with that.
Oh my God, this jazzes me up. Are you kidding me? I love this. Okay, so the very first message that comes through is adventure is seeking you. Mm-hmm. The risk is worth it. Movement will take over your life. Now, as I hear movement will take over your life, that is a shift in direction. And do not be afraid as the direction of your life changes. The image I see is you're in a boat, you're holding on to the sides of the boat, the water gets a little bit bumpy, but if you hold on tight and you have your life jacket on, i.e. your connection to something bigger, the risk and the adventure will take you to smooth waters.
I love that.
Yeah, very cool, right? Very powerful.
That is powerful. And it's interesting, and you probably have felt the same way during my journey, when something comes up that a lot of people look at and go, gosh, that's a problem. Like, ooh, yeah, that's a hot one. Don't want to touch that hot potato. So when something like that comes up, a lot of times, I don't really even view things as problems anymore. I look at them as, well, this is a challenge, and I'm just giving it up to Father, and He's going to deal with it, and the path will unfold. He'll show me what I need to do.
Absolutely.
And it's really interesting because it takes away the worry. There's no worry then. I don't have to keep coming back and and like trying to, resuscitate, what's not mine,
Correct.
Just let it go. And it allows me to really focus on that connection and being grateful for that connection.
Awesome. I love that. And one more thing to that is I'm always going, when something transpires, I go, okay, where's the lesson? Because I like put my geeky glasses on, I feel like, and I'm I'm looking through everything and I'm dissecting it, going, what's the lesson here? How can I learn? How can my soul grow? What does it? Every single person, every single situation is our teacher. And so listen, the world is a classroom. I love it. I love it.
It really allows us to look at things as experiences as opposed to like the universe is out to get us or, And I think a lot of times people feel that way, like, the God and the universe are just not working out for their best interest.
Oh, please. Listen, I'm going to be very honest here because I always am. I cannot stand victim mentality. It makes me crazy, probably because I lived it for 38 years.
You're like, oh, that's it. It's out of here. Time to let that go.
Because I know that we have all the power, and when we lay down and get in the corner and get our blankie and suck our thumb and give up, like, we're totally throwing away our power and our purpose. And it's a waste, and I don't like to waste.
That's fabulous. That's fabulous. Well, and I can see why you have so many people that are following your message and really staying connected with you. You've got great energy, and gosh, it's been so much fun to spend this time with you today, Veronica.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful that we connected, and again, no accident.
No accident. And before we get going, I would be remiss if I didn't even ask this. My goodness, where can our listeners find you and connect with your community?
Sure. Everything is Veronica Drake. It's veronicadrake.com. It's Veronica Drake on Facebook. It's Veronica Drake on YouTube. It's my name is everywhere. So if you remember those two words, Veronica Drake, I am Googleable. I am everywhere.
Ooh, very, very cool. Well, we're going to pause here for a quick moment. You've been listening to Veronica Drake. Again, you want to be part of her community at veronicadrake.com and visit her on Facebook and all of her social media, which I'm connected on. And we're going to pause here. We'll be right back after these messages.
Internationally recognized and award-winning author Judy Goodman works and teaches outside the box of limited thinking. Working with people from every walk of life, her goal is to empower you to be the best you can be, no matter what the challenge is. Born with the gift of seeing beyond our normal vision, she has an extraordinary gift of working with every challenge. Teaching beyond conventional wisdom, her work is described as life-changing. Visit judygoodman.com. That's judygoodman.com.
Have you ever had the sense that your thoughts might actually be doing something? Ancient secrets of manifesting have been masterfully revealed in the award-winning book Manifesting 123 by Ken Elliott. For the first time, the author's experiences and stories in this book describe exactly how your thoughts can create anything. You've been doing this all your life, but it's never been fully explained for you until now. Visit manifesting123.com for more information today. Manifesting123.com.
Ben Wexler is a gifted leadership development and strategy consultant for professionals who want to transform their organizations and careers. Through a uniquely personalized set of processes, participants discover their unique knowledge, how to leverage that knowledge and experience, and then put it all together with a global strategy. You're more valuable, your organization is more valuable, and the change is viral. Contact Ben at 630-881-1074, 630-881-1074.
Welcome back to Moments with Marianne. I am so excited we're spending this time here. Our next guest is just amazing. She's here today to share with us her new book, Your Sacred Wealth Code, Unlock Your Soul Blueprint for Purpose and Prosperity. So Prema Guerreri, she is committed to creating a world where everyone is empowered to live on purpose in a way that's aligned with their divine gifts and their birthright of true prosperity. So Prema has been a leading astrologer, business consultant, energy practitioner, soul coach for over 25 years. So let's welcome to the show, Prema.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, what a joy it is to have you here. Now, your book, The Sacred Wealth Code, I have to ask you, what brought you on this journey to developing not just the book, but your messaging behind it?
Oh, I think my whole life has been that journey, and that journey really is it's really my been walking my my soul blueprint as best I can. Was very intuitive as a young girl. Didn't always know that's what it was, but I was getting a lot of information from places that I couldn't pinpoint where that information was coming from, and highly sensitive and an empath. And also kind of thrown out into the world on my own, really young, and so I had to make my way, and I just found that I was really I was a seeker, and I was looking for how's everything really working, and what am I really supposed to be doing in the world, and that journey led me through, I want to say, many lifetimes up until now, but the one that's most relevant to the Sacred Wealth Code is I was a yoga teacher and a spiritual teacher, and I've always just been a teacher. And I had a yoga and healing art center that was really just a world-class center and big investment, I must say, too. And I had other smaller yoga centers and where I did my various work with people. But this was a big deal center, and I had it for about 5 years. But even though the business was about a six-figure in sales business, not that much of that was coming to me, and so I was struggling on a wealth, level, on a financial level, even though I felt like I was really doing my thing and giving my gifts and on purpose. But through many turns of events, and what I later found out was that I was really operating from part of the shadow side of my wealth code. I discovered through losing the center, it's a much longer story than that, and it's in the book, and you can read it there. But here's the point, is that I really thought I was on my path, and the universe wasn't responding in a way that I could really say, hey, I'm feeling wealthy. I mean, I lost my marriage. People seem to be flourishing at the center, but how come I wasn't? And I tried everything I could to resurrect the situation, but it felt like it was a little bit too late, including selling the business and taking a partner. But none of that really panned out. And in the end, I was just clearly told I needed to let it go. And I did. But it really put me in, I want to say, just a dark night of my soul. I was just, what was off here? And through that deep spiritual work and the Vedic astrology and my Vedic astrologer and really digging in, I saw where I was not aligned with what I would call my sacred wealth code, with my soul blueprint for wealth that is really meaningful to me. And wealth is really, in my version, what you need to fulfill your purpose. It actually follows purpose. But I did see where I was off. And I did the work to clear that, and I still do whatever work I need to when things come up to clear the shadow side that was keeping me from really being aligned with my, what I call now, your sacred wealth code. And the sacred wealth code of just sort of came to me and through me at that time and has evolved since then. And I was able to shift my business around. I went into private practice and more online, and became very profitable in a very short period of time. But I did something very different as I moved out into the new version of my work in the world, is I didn't do it alone, because I was really stuck in part of the shadow of my wealth code that kept me too independent and having to do too many things and do them not necessarily from my divine gifts. So I ended up, it was a beautiful thing, because through that difficult situation, I also, this work was able to come to me and through me, and I've been able to help many, many people with it since then.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, many people can kind of relate to this, and myself included, where we're making great money, or there's lots of money coming into the business, and maybe we're just kind of like, where is it all coming? And trying to figure out why everything feels so, difficult, or doesn't feel like it's really, has a flow to it. And is that some of the ways that people can see if they're on their right path or not, depending on how the flow is?
Yeah, I mean, if we are really in flow, everything happens really with a lot of ease and grace when we're in flow. We're always in some kind of flow, whether it's a difficult one or a blocked one. But I really believe that we are all tapped in to our soul blueprints, and I look at your Vedic astrology chart as a way of looking at your soul blueprint. And I believe that all the answers really are inside of ourselves. We may need some help accessing them. And if we really are able to free ourselves up to tune in regularly, to align with our gifts, to let go of anything that's holding us back, all those things will help to put you in your flow. And that's where all the stuff you really want is. And it's your flow, and it's very unique to each and every one of us. And it's really good to get to know what our flow even is. Or else we're doing, maybe it's our parents' flow or the collective flow, or
doing somebody else's stuff, for sure.
Somebody else.
Well, yeah, where it just feels like it's a little off. And, so you talk about soul blueprints, and that's a big part of your book. For someone that's new to your work, can you explain a little bit of what that means?
Yeah. So on a soul level, I believe that we make choices on a soul level. And these are, and also that we have come in with our strengths, our talents, and what I like to call our divine gifts, and also choose some challenges so that we can grow. I mean, when you prune the tree, it struggles a bit, but it grows stronger, and we choose that on some level. So I could point it all back to soul choices. And we also have some different timing that's running behind the scenes of what's really important to our soul at different times, our soul development. So when you're in tune with that, and you can really be in tune with, we'll just use the word flow again, flow that's happening behind the scenes, like your own soul flow, then it gives you, it's much easier to, I like to call it like decoding yourself or cracking the code of you. It's really under this amazing vehicle that you are to understand yourself and be able to, be really an expert operator of yourself. So you have to really know who you are, and I think that's a lifetime journey, just like getting ourselves back to wholeness can be a lifetime journey. But if you're going from L.A. to New York, you need to know that you're in L.A. But if you think you're in San Francisco and you're trying to go to New York, it's not going to be as easy to get there. Well, if you really understand who you are and how you're wired up uniquely, then it's going to be much easier for you to create what you want to create in your lifetime or align with what and who you want to. And your soul blueprint and understanding it is really, really useful to really know thyself.
Well, let's say someone's purchased your book and they're like, well, I think I know what my soul blueprint is, but I really want that hands-on experience with you. Is that something that they can book so that they can go ahead and have that time with you and just get a deeper understanding of, their soul blueprint and what their purpose is?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I work with people in a few different ways, but the book will help you to understand what your sacred wealth code is in a hands-on, self-discovery. I'll walk you through the steps. You can also come in for a sacred wealth code reading with me, where I'm going to tell you exactly what your sacred wealth code is. And I'm going to help you to really understand where you're in your shadow right now and where your strengths are and some timing around that. And just depending on what's up for you, and you really work with a lot of entrepreneurs and change agents and, am I aligned with my purpose? What's that purpose right now? What do you want to use it for? Absolutely. I also work with people on a private level, in a business academy, and also in what I call my Sacred Wealth Circle, which is just a great program to really learn how to drive your sacred wealth code, so to speak. So, yeah, I work on all levels that way.
And they can do that. They can do sessions with you, appointments with you from a distance, right? Doesn't have to be within your geographical area.
Yeah, my clients are all over the world, and I work on Skype, and I work on on the phone, online. Yes, absolutely.
All over. Okay. Well, and so then we talk about in your book the Sacred Wealth Code, and so what do you mean by that because we've gone through what the soul blueprint is. So when we talk about the Sacred Wealth Code, what's the difference between the two of them?
Yeah, so your sacred wealth code is found within your soul blueprint. It's literally where your wealth, your wiring for wealth intersects with your wiring for purpose. I look at that through where your wealth planets intersect with your purpose planets, which is actually based off of a technique from the Vedic astrology. Vedic astrology is a science. It's an art to actually read it and use it. And where your purpose and prosperity planets intersect is where we find wealth. And wealth, the definition I'm speaking of wealth, is everything you need to fulfill your purpose. But here's the thing. If you just imagine that your sacred wealth code is found at this intersection, two streets, an intersection of purpose and prosperity. And your sacred wealth code is like the houses that live on those corners. Well, what happened is that after years of looking at people's charts and then being through this time myself, I really saw, and I continue to see, that this is where, you have a lot of different gifts, but these are where your gifts that are directly connected to what I like to call your high-value gifts, the gifts that you have that when you really use and animate and give to the world, that also you will also be connected with wealth that is true and meaningful for you, and that's why I do call it sacred wealth. And that's very different for each and every one of us. You may want tons of money, and you might want to have the security of a secure job and in a stable home, and there's everything in between. You might just want total freedom and just money to do what you do when you want to do it. Maybe you have a huge movement in business you want to create. Everyone's very different. But this intersection of purpose and prosperity, looking at where those planets intersect when I do a Sacred Wealth Code reading, or using the book, I take you through a self-guided journey, because I believe you're tapped into that anyway, where you can actually pick or have picked you the archetypes let me just segue here for a moment. There's a body of archetypes. There's 23. There are three for each planet and one for the north and south node of the moon that are maybe common names you would recognize, like the teacher or the strategist or the merchant, but they have very unique descriptions and shadow sides that downloaded through me that are descriptive of gifts and high-value gifts and how you might use them and who you might find yourself as. And I, in that, also guide you through a process of really discovering which are your top high-value gifts. So this intersection is where you find your highest value gifts. And by starting to use those, and you might, we're all gifted in a lot of ways, but are using the ones that have the highest value, because a lot of times we're using the ones that we were told are the ones for us to use, or we've gotten rewarded for, or we feel safe with. But we all have something unique to give the world. That's almost like us unlocking something the world needs unlocked, and only we have the key for that. And there's a high value that will, vibration that will come back to us when we actually step into those divine gifts and use them. And that's really what your Sacred Wealth Code is.
Oh, I can understand that. When I was first looking at a career when I was a young person, I thought, I'll get into nursing, because I was highly encouraged to do that. And it was because I was really good at science, and horrible career choice because any blood, guts, or gore makes me pass out. So not a place to be. So it's interesting when we look at, like how you're saying, maybe it's something somebody is encouraging us to do as far as like, hey, you probably really get that, but really making sure that it fits with what we're really intended to do here,
Yeah, and what you're intended to do here, what's your purpose? Purpose equals why, and we won't have time to go all through this, but there's 4 pillars in your Sacred Wealth Code. Whether you get a reading from me or not, I encourage you to learn the pillars, and anything anyone ever does with me always has meditations that go along with it. Like even in the book, there's a whole portal when you get the book that you get some of the processes I walk you through, because it's a journal, it's a guidebook. You actually write things down, and there's places to write in the book. But I always guide you on an inner journey through that. But, we have purpose equals why, or why equals purpose. So everything we're doing in the, from eating our breakfast to the work we're doing in the world has a purpose to it. And it's really useful to know what that purpose is. So that purpose equals why is a really important quotient to know. But we also get our circuits jammed, so to speak, by well-meaning parents saying, oh, well, you can't make money being an artist. You have to get into business, But there's this artist that's, just dying on the vine inside that really, if the fire was fanned for them to follow that, could be quite successful. So it's, sometimes as adults, we need to do this uncovering, peeling back process, or the universe will do it for you, like it did with me.
It's like, hey, surprise! This is what you're going to do.
Yeah, so, because you're not doing that anymore.
Yeah. Or you thought you're going to go into, medicine. Good luck with that one. Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
And so there's a different. So we could say, I'm just hearing like voices like, okay, well, but how do I know I'm not supposed to be doing that? How am I supposed to, shouldn't I just get over the, not liking to see, blood and gore? Well, if you really tune in with your soul, you really do know what's in alignment for you and what isn't. And there are things that we really do need to stretch and grow into, and maybe even have a little bit of fear around, but it's really for our own, stepping more into our greatness. And then there are the things that just truly aren't resonant for us. And we just feel completely, depleted. And so what was your feeling from not having, from realizing that wasn't your path?
Oh, I was happy, actually. My gosh, this is not where I'm supposed to be. And it's almost kind of like a comedy in some ways, because, I still tried to do it, and it was miserable, So,
yeah.
But
it's the miserable part. So you were miserable in doing it. So there's a lot of people doing jobs that you're miserable. So if you're miserable in your job, and I would just encourage you to really I'd like for people just to answer the question, like, if money didn't matter, what would you be doing that really felt like, you'd be giving your gifts? What would you really be doing? And if nothing else, if you don't take anything else away from this talk, just spend a little more time doing that. Just give yourself, we have so many pressures on us in this day and age that we're living in, and financial pressures as well. But you have a wealth, just such a wealth of gifts within you, but also like that can translate into real wealth in the world.
Well, and so that kind of leads me to my next question, because you work a lot with Vedic astrology, and how does that play a role in business?
Yeah, so Vedic astrology plays a role in everything, or I could say I could look through the lens of Vedic astrology into everything. But because I am an entrepreneur, and I have been for 25 years plus, and I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, and really I think that stemmed from, I've always, like I said, been in business for myself for many years, but from also helping people with purpose. A lot of people have been coming to me, even when I was in my yoga center, many years for purpose. And a lot of people who come for purpose, or, putting the spiritual dots together of the meaning between the physical world and the spiritual world, these all ended up being people who also wanted to do something like I was doing, like take their passion, their gift, and be able to turn it into a business, but one that's purposeful, that makes, that actually they can make a living from. And so there is a deep connection between, again, how you want to create wealth in the world and your gifts. Now, some people are going to do that through the job that they're at right now and having a different perspective with it, or from getting their dream position. Absolutely. But there are those who want to do it, want to create that movement themselves, and want to create that, wrap it around a business. So Vedic astrology, understanding your divine gifts, understanding how you're wired for wealth, and being, if you're going to create a restaurant and you're really wired up to be a writer. Now, there's ways you could combine the two, but let me just be simple here. Then, Vedic astrology is very helpful for you to understand what your gifts are, and then what would be the right avenue for you to actually express those gifts, express your wealth code in the world, and the kind of timing around that, and the kind of scenario. It's just, we can look just so deeply into, again, how you're wired up, but how you're wired up for business as well. I used to do a lot of relationship work with people, and I still do with some, but, how you're wired up for relationship.
It really kind of is a journey in how all that works together. And I found your book was really well written and outlines everything to the point where it was very simple to understand, and the exercises made it easy for people to go through and go, okay, well, this is what my wealth focus is. I get it, and kind of work through each of those examples. So if someone is on their path and they're reading your book and they're just not feeling exactly 100% fulfilled enough, what would you suggest to them?
As far as taking next steps?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
what's more for them that they could work with you and do that would, I know you have a community people can be part of, and sometimes that's really like how you were talking about was like being in business, it was important to have other people that you work with as well. What kind of communities do you have available that people can be part of? Yeah.
So first of all, we're not meant to do any of this alone. Babies cannot live without being held. All of us, and especially for those of you who are in business or want to be, a lot try to do it on your own, and you need support. But then also just to, this makes sense to me, Prema, but I need to go deeper with this. Absolutely. So my Sacred Wealth Circle is my community for really understanding your Sacred Wealth Code, getting your Sacred Wealth Code reading, although you can do that independently as well, having regular monthly wealth trainings to help you embody your Sacred Wealth Code, a full library of trainings on each one of the archetypes, a community an online community that even we encourage everyone to have accountability partners, for instance, to inspire you, for you to inspire. It's also a community I drop into in my Sacred Wealth coaches, also because I also do certify people in the Sacred Wealth Code system to connect in with, again, to share your ideas with. Like we had one woman come in today who she just was kind of at her wit's end, getting out of school and looking for the perfect job, and then she applied for a job she really didn't think was for her, but just for money. And it turns out it's just a magical personal assistant for someone very famous, and she's realized that this is the next step in her journey, and she now can see how how things just all meet up. So we have that Sacred Wealth community, and then there's also the Sacred Wealth business community, which that community, they get everything in that community, but this is where our trainings and time with me and time with the Sacred Wealth Code coaches, private time, and a soul blueprint session with me, all are really focused on your business, creating it or upgrading it or tweaking it so that it's really reflective of your movement and your mission in the world.
I think it means so much to have community, and that's so important. So I'm glad that we touched on that. And so where are things going for you next? Because I know you're super busy, gosh, with the book coming out and everything. You probably have a lot on your plate. Where do you see you going next?
I do have a lot on my plate. It's all been really fun and interesting, and there's lots of new opportunities coming in. So as far as going next, there's already another book that's percolating, and I'll just ask that could just be on pause for just a minute. There's a deck of Sacred Wealth Code cards. It's an oracle deck that I had collaborated with an artist, and that painted. They're gorgeous paintings of all the archetypes, and there's a guidebook with that. In fact, I was just talking to the publisher today around that, so that in the next 60 to 90 days, we'll have the Sacred Wealth Code oracle deck out as well. There's a journal that'll also get printed in the fall. So that's some of the stuff around the Sacred Wealth Code. For myself, I'm being invited in to speak to more groups and people wanting to bring this work into the groups that they already have going, which I love. I also really love teaching retreats and 3-day events based on this work where we really can immerse and go deep. So there's more of that that's being scheduled and more of that that's coming up. And, just lots of really good fun stuff.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what else becomes available with your work and what you do. Obviously, you are living your path and such a great example for so many people. Where can people connect with you to be part of your community?
SacredWealthCode.com is the easiest way to find me. My business is actually called Solutionary, spelled S-O-U-L. But let's keep it really simple. SacredWealthCode.com will get you there. And there, one of the cool things is if you go there and land on that page, you can take the Sacred Wealth Code Archetype Quiz, which is totally free, and it's a quiz that I created out of 7 of the most popular archetypes. And right away, you can get the description of one of your archetypes, and some really lovely some trainings on the back end of that will come to you just to help you along your path there. But if you're interested in any of the groups or readings, there's a free Facebook group. All of that is right on that page there, sacredwealthcode.com.
Well, Prema, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us today.
Totally my pleasure, and thank you for all the great work that you're doing in the world.
As we say goodbye to Prema Guerreri, make sure to check out her website and learn more about your Sacred Wealth Code. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne, located at momentswithmarianne.com. I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time to tune in today, and remember, make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Moments with Marianne airs every Thursday, Friday, and Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.